The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 3, Einar. Chapter 27. Tal arrived in the dark world screaming. Acid was burning through his leg. He jerked up to look at the damage and hit his head on the coffin lid. He'd forgotten that he left his body in the Chosen's mausoleum. It had seemed the safest place at the time. With an acid burn on his leg and his head cracked on the lid, choosing the coffin seemed very stupid. Tal reached up to try and shift the lid. As always when he returned from Einar, his body felt very heavy and slow.
"This is very strange,"
said a voice that was somehow under him. Tal stiffened in shock, till he realized who it was. It was Adris, who had become a shadow. A puffy shadow arm reached around Tal's body and joined with him in opening the lid, but the shadow went straight through. You have to concentrate to make your shadow flesh strong enough to interact with stone or flesh.
"How?"
asked Adris plaintively. "I don't know," whispered Tal. "Think of it being, I don't know, tougher. Imagine." Adris reached past him again, and this time the shadow hand did not go through the stone. The lid began to slide open. Tal dimmed the light of his sunstone, and Adris said,
"What happened? I feel weak."
"Keep quiet," whispered Tal. He didn't want any Chosen who might be in the mausoleum to hear them. "You're a spirit shadow now. You need light to be strong."
"Oh,"
said Adris. Just as when he'd been a storm shepherd, he didn't know how to keep his voice down. Tal closed his eyes and tried to breathe more slowly. Any minute now, he told himself, Abbott will be looking down, and he'll use his sunstone to stop the pain. Any minute now. All he had to do was concentrate on breathing. "Tal, what happened?" It was not Abbott. It was Milla. Tal opened his eyes. Milla was looking at his leg, where tendrils of acid smoke were still rising. Adris loomed up behind her, a huge spirit shadow. She still had the look of a storm shepherd, but was smaller than she'd usually been in Einar. Interestingly, small sparks of darker shadow occasionally shot out of Adris. Tal had never seen that in a spirit shadow before. "Acid," whispered Tal. "Waspworm. Get Abbott." "He's not here," said Milla. "He left me a note, but I can't read it. You've got one too." Tal lifted his head a little and groaned. There was a rolled-up scroll near his right hand, but he was too much in shock to pick it up or make any attempt to read it. "Healing magic," he whispered again. "Use sunstone." "I don't know how," said Milla. She looked at his leg again. The acid had burned straight through Tal's fur leggings and eaten away the flesh underneath. She could see white bone. On the ice, his leg would have to be cut off and the stump cauterized, unless there was a very skilled healer close by. "Ask the Codex," Tal whispered. Then he fainted. Milla looked at the leg for a little longer, raising the fur. Then she went over to the coffin she'd just emerged from. The Codex was still in it. It had changed shape to fit, growing narrower and longer, but as she guessed, it still weighed as much as it ever had, and it took all her strength to lever it out and set it upright next to the coffin that held Tal. It was also a noisy operation. When she had it set up, Milla looked around the mausoleum to make sure the noise hadn't attracted any attention. But the vast hall was quiet. The tiny sunstones overhead continued to flicker like the Einarian stars they mimicked. There was no sudden flare of bright light. Nor was there any movement among the rows and rows of spirit shadow statues that adorned the coffins. "Adris," Milla said softly, "keep a watch on that door over there. Adris, you watch the main gate." Adris turned to the door. Adris rose up to his full height, easily 3 times as tall as Milla, and said,
"Why should I?"
"Because Milla said so," ordered Adris sharply. "So there." Adris snorted. A small lightning bolt of dark shadow came out of his nose, which made him giggle. Milla ignored him and looked at the Codex. She looked at it for a long time. It seemed to her that if she asked it to teach her how to heal wounds with her sunstone, she was taking yet another step away from being a shield maiden, or even an Icecarl. Yet once again, there was a complex web of debts she owed Tal, and those he owed her. "I need to use my sunstone to heal an acid burn," she said to the codex. "Tell me how." The silvery surface of the codex rippled, but no letters appeared. "Speak to me," said Milla. She rapped the surface of the codex with her knuckle. It felt cold, like ice, but left no mark and had no effect. "I ordered you to tell me!" The codex shimmered, but no words came.